we go.
So yes, hello there everyone and welcome to another episode of the AOR Talkshow. Today I'm of course joined by Pepper and we are going to be reviewing the AOR PS3 race that we saw in Britain and also previewing the race in Abu Dhabi. And thank you guys again for the support and the love that you've been showing on this series and the talk show in general, and of course on the press conference that we had, but we'll get onto that a little bit later on. But yes, we had round number 6 of the PS3 season, of course the only platform that's still going at the moment. We don't have PC or Xbox running at the moment, and we were in Britain, and it was a fairly incident-filled race, and also incident-filled like entrance to the race, if you like, in terms of connection and all that. So yeah, it was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, despite the technical difficulties after qualifying 1, where we could have had a wear race, but unfortunately some connections let us down, so we had to redo everything again. And well, of course, if you didn't see the race, obviously, as always, there will be a link on the description to James' channel to watch the race. But Shane, after a terrible qualifying 1 on Q2,
Q2 officially,
Shane managed to get to pole position ahead of Vettel, followed by Dan, Hammertime, Pepper, Professional, Callum, Sevalista, Prost, the rookie Jordan on the Lotus, Brown and Philip, with obviously Mazza is missing out due to some problems with PSN. And who was the other car missing? Beloff, of course.
I mean, we haven't.
Yeah, we will have some news on Beloff as well a bit later on. But nevertheless, it was a very decent qualifying. Obviously, Shane, he'll be thanking the gods for having Q2, because he was like 7th after the first qualifying, but managed to redeem himself. And once again, Vettel in the front row.
Yeah, he's a good qualifier, isn't he? And it's like not expected as well. Like, you usually have the main candidates like Callum and Dan and Pepper and Mazza, who obviously wasn't there, but Vettel sticking it up there in second. That sounds wrong, but still sticking it up in second. Very impressive from him. Not such a great Q2, if you like. We're just going to call it that from now on. Not a great Q2 from Callum though. Only in 7th. Was there a specific reason? I know Prost was down in 9th because he qualified on primes, but Callum just seemed to be lacking a bit of pace in that second quali session.
Yeah, he was. He did several mistakes, especially on the second last run, especially on the last one, where he was going for a good lap, but a slight mistake on the club section completely ruined his lap, which forced him to start 7th, half a second away of his teammate though. So again, we had the top 9 basically within less than 7/10. So, and even top 11 within 1 second. So pretty good stuff nevertheless. It's like we said about Dan in Germany. They start behind, but they're not that far behind from the pole.
Yeah, exactly. It was really close.
Personally, I like to see this. It just shows that the field is competitive against each other, but the race was not exactly as smooth as the qualifying, was it, Nir?
I don't think anything that happened in qualifying then carried over into the race. Like, if you were expecting the qualifying positions to reflect the actual race positions, then you're very wrong. I'm sorry to tell you that, because it was a very carnage-filled race. It was a pretty quiet first few laps. I mean, Pepper and Callum had an insane battle for literally 3/4 of a lap alongside each other. But apart from that, Shane held on to the lead through the first few corners. Vettel just about held on to second in front of Dan, who slotted into third. But it was basically kind of status quo. And then lap number 4 came along, or lap number 3, and that's where things just spiraled into changing completely when the safety car came out.
Yeah, it's still yet to be understood, because from the racing perspective of James, I couldn't really see still what happened, but unfortunately, the worst happened to the Mercedes team, a bit like Spain in real life this year. Philip and Brown just crashing, going to the second DRS straight on lap 3 and causing an instant safety car, and that proved to be crucial for someone's race, especially Shane, who decided to stay out on a different strategy, hoping everyone would pit and then have to pit earlier and then therefore have worse tires to the end. So Shane stayed out, pretty much the only guy to do so, and despite a great restart from him, eventually fell down to last alongside Jordan, and from then on it was a recovery race from Shane. I'm sure it wasn't exactly what he wanted, but a recovery drive for Shane at that point. It was already being a recovery drive for Callum and Peppo started a little bit down the field, and obviously everything started to kick in with Vettel on the lead, but from second to, what was it, like 6th or something? It was a train.
Yeah, there was literal massive battle from 2nd to 7th, I think it was. There was like Dan, Hammer Time, Pepper, Prost, and then Callum and Professional, I think, in there, or Sevalista, who was actually having a really promising race actually for a bit. But yeah, Vettel managed to stretch away once Shane had decided to pit. Honestly, I still don't really understand why, because as we found out before, he hadn't gone past the pit lane when the safety car came out for Brown and Philip crashing into each other, and he just that was a shame, because that really ruined the chance of really winning, because it meant that whenever he pitted, he was going to be a long way behind the leaders, because he wasn't going to be able to stretch out a gap in a quick enough time to have that buffer zone again. But yeah, so that gifted Vettel the lead. Dropped Shane right to the back with Jordan, who also chose not to pit at the safety car. And as you said, we had a lovely little battle going on between Dan, Hammer Time, Pepper, Callum, Professional. Prost was in there as well, and it was nice, fairly clean for the most part, certainly at first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they kind of separated a little bit, with Hammer Time and Pepper fighting for the second place, and then just a little further behind, Dan, Professional, Sevalis and Prost as well fighting for 4th place, but never too far behind each other. So it was obviously very. I think generally it was one of the best action-packed races at that point. Obviously with Callum, who had some issues at Stowe with Professional due to lag, fell down to the last position as well. So for once on the season, we had 2 Williams, like 8th and 9th, which I mean, let's be honest, did anyone expect that, no matter what the circumstance was? I don't think we did.
The Formula 1 gods were not shining down on Shane or Callum at all during that race. Callum getting wiped out by Professional, Shane's bad strategy. And at the middle of the race, when Pepper was sat in second, it looked as if, in terms of the Constructors' Championship, it was going to get much closer, because Ferrari were going to score points for second. Unfortunately, Mazais wasn't present, although I'm sure he would have taken advantage of the situation as well if he was. And then we had like Shane in 8th and Callum in 9th, or vice versa. I can't remember which way around it was. But it was looking great for Ferrari until sort of the middle of the race.
Yeah, the fight for second started to heat up a little bit more. It
was great to watch, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was generally, obviously, after some difficult races at Nürburgring for both Pepper and Dan, they both did, in my opinion, a great comeback, despite maybe being helped by the fact the Williams had a bit of bad luck. But nevertheless, I mean, Pepper was back on form, Dan was back on form up there, and unfortunately there was some slight issues let's say at the exit of Luffield, with Hammer Time and Pepper making contact, both spinning around and crashing, losing both their front wings, which allowed Dan to get up to second place, and pretty much everyone jammed jump 2 positions, which was, well, it was unfortunate for both drivers really, because they were doing an amazing job. I mean, they were driving very well. I mean, despite some lag, you can't say you've been through side by side with a person 3 times through maggots and backers in one race. So I think they were doing a pretty good job until that unfortunate moment. But obviously, some lose, some win. Dan managed to take profit from it, and so did Professional, who was doing a very good race as well. And also a shout out to Sevalista, who was at some point 5th in a race, I believe.
Yeah, I think lag really screwed him over, didn't it? He was like, I think he was 4th or 5th, and he went off at Stowe because he had a bit of a collision with someone through lag. I think it was Dan, and went off. But he had a really solid race. I think it's the best pace that he's shown so far this season.
Yeah, and also the rookie Jordan did kind of a same strategy as Shane, so didn't quite help him, but it was not a bad rookie start for him. Obviously getting 2 points after Hammer Time disconnecting, but one person I thought it could have done better was Prost, who for some reason decided for a different strategy. Obviously he started on primes, but then on lap 4 he pitted for primes, and then lap 12 pitted for options to make 2 stints of options. Now I don't think, I don't know, it's obviously very hard, as we got shown by Shane, who betted on the wrong side of things. That strategy behind the safety car can change drastically.
Yeah, it's really spur of the moment, and I think that's the problem. A lot of people were caught out by that, not just instantly, but also in the future as well. I'm really not sure if Prost was best going on to primes again in a safety car period, but obviously because, you know, it came out very quickly, maybe he didn't get a chance to change tyres or whatever. But then what really screwed him over was deciding to do... In fact, actually, no, that did screw him over, because then obviously he had to run options at the end, and he couldn't stretch that middle prime stint out long enough. So if he'd have come in, put options on in the safety car period, he then could have ditched the options towards the middle of the race, and then stuck on primes till the end, and done basically the same strategy as everyone else, just with the tyre compounds in a different order. But instead he came in onto the primes. He then obviously couldn't go to the end, obviously, you know, because tyre life, and also because he had to run the options at some point. So he had to do 2 sets of options. He had to do 2 option stints, and it cost him a lot, to be honest with you. I think he would have been right up there, probably battling with the likes of Callum and Professional in that sort of third zone by the end of the race, had he not done that strategy. But I think the spur of the moment, going on to primes in the safety car period, meaning that he had to do 2 option stints at the end, just screwed him over a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, he almost came out behind Pepper, who had the sad issue and had to do the last stint of 12 laps on primes. Yeah. But he still managed to capitalize on Civilista on the last lap, on the last sector. So saving a 6th place, which isn't too bad. At least he finished the race. Yeah, which is a second.
It's a rarity for Prost, isn't it? His connection seems to be so bad. But finally, I mean, unfortunately for him, the record of finishing on the podium in every race he's finished, which is a grand total of 1, is now out the window because he only came 6th. But at least he did manage to rescue 6th round. I think it was like literally on the final corner, passing Sevalista and the Lotus Club. So he managed to rescue that. And I guess apart from that, the race was pretty static in the last stint. Pepper and Hammer Time, after the incident, were circulating well towards the end, and then obviously Hammer Time disconnected. And up front, it was just easy for Vettel, really, once Pepper and Hammer Time had gone.
Yeah, obviously Dan kept his distance relatively close, but couldn't really gain that much to chase down the Caterham driver, who gets his first win of the season, and I believe his first AOR win as well. Obviously Shane got, well, slaughtered by Sevalista's lag on the last stint.
That's probably a good way of putting it, yeah.
But obviously maybe Shane could have got Professional on the last stint if Sevalista didn't unfortunately had that amount of lag, but it's stuff that happens on racing. So it's Vettel won ahead of Dan, who returns to the podiums, and Callum, which at the end did a good recovery from 7th to 3rd despite everything that happened during the race.
Yeah, seventh and a spin as well.
Yeah,
in the mid race.
Professional saving a very good 4th place for Red Bull. So 2nd and 4th to Red Bull, the team getting the most points out of the British Grand Prix. Then Shane in 5th, Prost 6th, Sevalista 7th, Pepper 8th, and Jordan 9th was the last man to see the checkered flag. Then Hammer Time, who disconnected in 10th, and Philip and Brown obviously having contact on lap 3. I'm sorry to say here you completely messed up the prediction again.
To be fair, I don't think anyone would have expected Vettel to win, which basically just screwed over everything. But I'm quite happy to see my prediction wrong. It was a great race. So
yeah, in that sense, I agree. But yeah, for those who don't remember, Naren predicted Callum to win, followed by Shane and Mazais.
Oh no!
And pole position for Callum.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
My predictions, however, were Callum 1st, Prost 2nd and 3rd. I kind of got the 2 men on the podium, but on the right position, so on the wrong positions even, so no points there. But I did predict it, Shane to get pole.
Oh, damn it.
So that's another point for me. So I maintained the lead against Niren.
Oh, damn it. Why did I not say that?
I mean, to be fair, Shane, after he saw the talk show, he was like, why did you predict me? I'm not getting pole position. I was like, fuck. I screwed up.
And then see what happens. Oh,
but at the end, I managed to secure 1 point.
Yeah.
At a prediction, but
I don't think I've had a point in a while when it comes to predictions, but anyway.
Do you even have a point though?
I think I have one. I think I got something right in Brazil. I think I got pole right or something in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm fair. I think I have at least one, but I don't think there's many more than that, to be honest. I think you've got like 5 or 4 or something.
Yeah, we're not quite sure, but there will be on the screen something to show what the standings are between us two.
I am definitely losing. I know that, and obviously you guys will know whether you're beating us both. Given your predictions in the comments if you have. So. Well,
I mean, looking at this, it's not very hard to.
Yeah, it probably is not. Definitely not me. My target is not very high at all.
But yeah, nevertheless, taking then a quick look at the standings of the driver standings, Callum jumped to the lead of the championship, 1 point ahead of Shane. So
single point.
I mean,
how close do you like it?
1 point separating the 2 Williams drivers. Then at the back, in 3rd place, is Mazes, who failed to finish the race. So he retains 3rd place, however, with 58 points, 3 points ahead of Dan, who jumps to 4th, and beats Pepper, who only gets 2 points out of this race, remaining in 5th with 51. Vettel 6th with 50. Hammer Time 7th with 49. Professional 8th with 45. So between 3rd and 8th, 13 points.
Absolutely epic. Great battle in the midfield. And if Brown had finished that race as well, if he'd finished, and if Prost had finished more than 2 races this season, we might have seen him in that battle as well. I think he'll definitely get involved. But 3rd to 8th, with such a small gap covering them all. I mean, literally 3 points covering 3 drivers: Pepper, Vettel, and Hammer Time, which is just epic. So good stuff. Good stuff. Everyone involved, and lots of manufacturers involved as well.
Yeah, but Brown then in 9th with 38, so it's not too far behind though.
No, only 7.
Prost with 28, Sevalista with 20, Philip with 8, Jordan with 2, and you might have mentioned we're not mentioning Beloff, and that's why there's been another market change on the drivers. So Beloff officially is gone from the Caterham. Caterham just decided, no, you're not racing, so get out!
Axed. He's gone. Team management are strict. Okay, he didn't turn up. His attendance is poor, and he's gone.
Yeah. So we have Jamie replacing the Argentinian driver. So unfortunately, another British driver to join us. But well, as a matter of fact, as Callum very well said, he's Welsh, so
so
not English.
Doesn't really count, to be honest with you. No, I'm joking.
No, he'll. I mean, for what I've seen, he's a strong driver, so maybe he's starting a bit further behind to the midfield, but he's a driver to be up there, like on top 5, I think. So maybe like Jordan, we'll have 2 rookies doing a good job. Well, at least that's what we hope. And then for the constructors, Nolan, what do we see apart from Williams winning, which isn't surprising anyone?
Apart from Williams' domination, which could have been so different had it not been for... Well, actually, I mean, had it not been for Williams doing good recoveries, to be honest. I mean, Callum and Shane did really well to get back to where they were. But yeah, Williams are top of the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari still sitting there in second, but unfortunately the lack of Maz in that race means that Red Bull have caught them quite substantially. Dan getting second, Professional getting fourth means that they've caught a lot. It's only 9 points now between second and third. Sauber are sat in fourth. That's obviously Prost and Hammer Time. They're on 77. We've then got Caterham on 60. They're in fifth place, only 17 behind Sauber. Then it's Mercedes after their double DNF in Silverstone. They're sixth on 46. I think Caterham have actually passed them this weekend because of Vettel's win. And then Lotus sat in 7th place, but at least they have a second driver now on 22. And because I didn't mention it, Ferrari on 109 and Red Bull on 100.
Yeah, and then there's Williams nearly on 200.
Yeah, 191. The small matter of 82 points between first and second in the Constructors' Championship right now.
I mean, that's nearly 2-1-2 finish.
Yeah, that is literally 2-1-2 finishes.
Bro!
And two disconnections or DNFs or whatever for Williams.
And then 1-3 Ferrari, 2-4 Red Bull.
Yeah, Jesus.
And then switch for the next race. But yeah, that's our British review. And now we have a track which usually hosts the last race or one of the last races, and he's making an appearance on the first half of the race, and that is the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. my love, if you feel like I do right now. Don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Hello and welcome to the S11 circuit here in Abu Dhabi. Now going down to turn 1. Very important not to take too much of the inside curb as the bollard can put you off. Now going through turn 2, 3 and 4 all flat out during qualifying and also during the race. Now going down to the very sharp chicane of 5 and 6. Very important to not take too much of the curbs as they can spin you out. But now going through the hairpin turn 7. Very important to have a good exit as it sets you off for one of the longest straights on the calendar. Very good overtaking opportunity here during the race. Now a very long straight until you brake very hard to turn 8 and 9. Another again, try to avoid the curbs as much as you can and get a nice exit to the second back straight using the RS again, one of the most popular overtaking spots of the track. Now braking very hard for 11, 12 and 13, a very technical section of the track. Once again, avoid the curbs as much as you can, going now through 14. Very important not to hit the bollard on the inside and setting you up for 15, 16 and 17, a very hard braking point, very easy to lock up. But now going through the turn 18, going under the tunnel to 19. Once again, don't take too much of the inside curve and getting a nice exit to turn 20 and now the last corner to turn 21 before finishing a lap in the Abu Dhabi circuit in Yas Marina. Now, obviously, you were commentating on the Xbox side of AOR in Abu Dhabi. I mean, what, personally, from a commentator's point of view and a racer as well, what should we be looking for in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of sitting alongside Fizzy for that one. I think one thing that I will say is the two DRS straights are extremely powerful at Abu Dhabi. There was a lot of really easy overtakes. As long as you can get that first chicane right in the middle of the DRS zone, you're going to have a very easy task getting past down a second DRS straight. Apart from that, a few drivers were finding it a little bit difficult to get their lines correct. There's obviously quite a bit of a difference in speeds when it comes to corners around Abu Dhabi. You've obviously got the really slow hairpin for the DRS straight, but then obviously the quick second and third corners on the track, and also a few other just the sort of medium speed. So it's quite a technically difficult track, but obviously you are gifted a bit of ease of access in terms of the runoff areas on the outside of the track. It's not like Silverstone where you've got grass and gravel in the majority of the track, but it's a fairly difficult one, but it's one where we should see a lot of overtaking, just purely because of those DRS streets. It does tend to keep quite a few battles close together. People tend to just stick together in a clump because they can just sit in each other's DRS and overtake each other.
Yeah, and maybe like it's a very technical track, especially the last sector.
Yeah.
But apart from those two DRS straights, some people just don't really like it because of that, because it's two massive straights and that's it for overtaking. But after we saw in Silverstone with people overtaking before Corps, during Maggots and Beckett's, Stowe, Luffield, maybe, I don't know, there's a couple of heavy braking points at Abu Dhabi that, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't think they would be overtaking spots, but like turn 1, the end of the first sector maybe.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the end of the first sector is probably one of the other major places, and maybe into the hairpin. If you're literally right behind the person in front, you can maybe dive bomb at the inside. out of the chicane into the hairpin. To be honest, if people can run alongside each other through maggots and beckets, then anything's possible. So I would expect to see overtaking in a lot of different places for this one.
Yeah, I mean, just remember, overtake safely.
Yes.
And remember to back out when there's no need to rush a move.
Drive safely, kids.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Bernie says don't drink and drive. Don't drive safe.
Our video is now getting blocked by FOM because we said that.
So I said Bernie Eccleston. Crap. We've said FOM now, so it's completely done. So.
But anyway, if we haven't been blocked yet, Abu Dhabi is a lovely track in my opinion. I mean, I think it can provide the great races if we have the right conditions and circumstances, and you obviously have that sunset, which is come on, I mean, it's amazing to race at.
It's beautiful. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm not a league racer, so I'm a bit easily distracted when I'm driving. But honestly, I just find myself just staring at the sunset sometimes when I'm driving Abu Dhabi. Instead of concentrating on what I'm doing, I'm just like, oh my god, that sunset's sick. Instead of what I'm actually doing. But again, drivers, if you're listening, don't do that. Be safe.
Yeah.
Drive safely.
Focus on the racing line.
Focus on the track instead of the sky.
I think I did have a good feeling for Silverstone, and it proved to be right. I have a good feeling about Abu Dhabi as well. So
I haven't seen a bad race around Abu Dhabi yet. In any league race, I don't think. It's a track that always provides action.
I think it will be a great race if the Williams don't start on the front row as well.
Yeah, maybe. Although, to be fair, them battling with each other for the whole race would be quite cool for first and second. But again, if other people could get involved, that would make it even better. We'll see another underdog story like we saw at Silverstone.
I mean,
that'd be nice.
To be fair, we have 6 races. We do have 4 different winners.
Yeah, that's very impressive. I mean, yeah, Shane, Callum, Vettel and Pepper.
But
pretty good. It's not quite F1 2012. That season.
Nearly there.
That is very cool.
There.
I think there's definitely potential for other people to win. I'd be very surprised if people like Dan and Prost don't win a race by the end of the season.
Yeah, true. And
Mazais as well. You never know.
And maybe even Brown.
Yeah. There's also people with good pace. It just depends on the track, I find, with some of the drivers. A lot of the drivers in the midfield scrap have been a little bit inconsistent. So, I mean, Brown had no pace whatsoever in Silverstone, but there's been other tracks where he's been right up there battling for podiums. So, yeah.
Yeah, I do. And maybe you can have a surprise from Hammer Time. I mean,
yeah.
He already has a podium at Austin. And, I don't know, it's so many possibilities.
Yeah, there's so many good drivers.
I mean, obviously, last season we had a pretty competitive field, but it was like the top 5 was competitive.
Yeah.
Here, I feel like it's just, I think the whole field can get points no matter what.
Yeah,
It's not really.
We've got an uber competitive like top 9. Then 2 more drivers who it just depends on the track, aka like Sevelister and Brown. And then obviously the rookies as well that might throw a spanner in the works like later in the season once they get used to racing like a lot more maybe. It's great. Really good and really competitive. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and obviously, I know Niren you hate, but we really need to fail a bit more now for our predictions.
It is predictions time. It's time for me to make myself look like a derp yet again. The thing is, I get this feeling that one time I don't predict Callum to get pole, he'll get pole. But I don't care about
if it helps, Callum said Abu Dhabi is not one of his best tracks.
Okay, alright. Well, I'm sorry, Callum, but you're definitely not getting predicted first now. I'm going to go for the safe option. I'm going to say Shane will get pole, which probably isn't the safe option whatsoever, but I don't even care at this point. And I reckon, oh man, who to win? I'm going to say Dan, and I don't know why. I'm going to say Dan to win. Shane to come second, and I was going to actually say Mazais to come third, but he might not actually be racing. I'll say Prost to come third.
Interesting.
That's out there, isn't it? That's very out there. Ooh.
That's very random.
Yes, it basically is at this point. I've basically stopped actually thinking it through. I'm just picking out random names now.
Anytime soon now, we're expecting Nerd to say Jordan to win, Philip second.
Basically, whoever wants to win, just go and win for me. I don't really care. Sid Kumar to win.
Why? Nice. Well, I won't be as bold as that. I think. Okay, maybe I am. Have a time for Paul.
Oh my! I swear, if you get that right, I'm gonna. Oof. I'm gonna cry.
But I don't think he's going to win. I think. Not biased, but just purely because after the unpredictability of Silverstone, I think it can happen, and we can't forget the curves of this track. So, a bit of, a bit of sympathy to the Ferrari. I pick. I shouldn't be doing this, but I'll pick Pepper to win.
Do it. Hey, Pepper to win. You've heard it here first, confirmed. Shane
to come second, and Mazais to come third.
Oof. I wanted to pick Mazais to get podium, but I just don't know if he'll actually be racing. That's the only thing. Like last time I predicted Dan,
yeah,
he didn't because he had his wheel issue. So, but that's interesting. I think either are as likely to happen as each other because it's a track where just anything can happen. So, especially after the unpredictability of Britain, I'd expect someone out there to win. I'll be very disappointed if not.
Yeah.
No, that's.
I'd like to have a double Ferrari podium. To be honest, I mean. Obviously, next race I'll predict a double podium for Red Bull. Don't be mad at me. It's so biased. It's just I think the Ferrari are going to be a little bit superior to Red Bull, especially professional missing the race.
Yes.
So I couldn't predict a double Red Bull podium anyway. So don't be
bad
at me. But
I forgot about that. I did actually think about professional. I completely forgot he wasn't racing.
Yeah,
God.
Apart from that, we hope to have all 13 drivers, and I don't know, maybe Jamie surprises us. God, can you imagine?
Can you imagine embarrassment? Jamie wins? Oh God, Jamie pole win and fastest lap. Can you imagine?
Oh, I'd just retire from this talk show.
I would retire as well. Get James to do it.
Whoever wants to pick the talk show, go ahead.
Drop it in the comment section just in case this actually happens.
But anyway, it's time for our fact sections about Abu Dhabi, and starting with the first one, it's a rather different one compared to the other tracks because we have both drivers who have won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix twice, and I don't think we ever had that before. Obviously, those drivers were Dark PSI in season 5 and 6, and FTR Christos in season 7 and 8. And I never thought I would see this.
Yeah, we don't often get the same driver winning at the same track twice. So for it to happen twice, one driver winning twice, and then another driver winning twice in back-to-back seasons both times. That's a bit mad. So Dark PSI and Christos definitely had the monopoly over Abu Dhabi in the first 4 seasons.
Yeah, and there's a bonus fact in this, let's say, because it's even more interesting because Dark PSI won the championship in season 6 and Christos won the championship in season 8, I believe.
So,
wait. Okay, for the sake of the fact, let's say he won in season 8, but I'm not sure now.
You know what? Let's just say it is. We can bend the truth. We can bend facts.
Yeah.
If that's the case, basically, winning in Abu Dhabi for the second time means you're guaranteed to win the championship. That's just basically how it is. So, is there anyone in the field that can win for a second time? I'm guessing there's no one who's won in.
No, because last season's was Iceman winning.
Okay. Yeah, so there's unfortunately that can't happen. So there's no guaranteed championship for anyone, unfortunately, in this field.
Unless our commentator decides to race for some reason, but
You never know.
I doubt it.
James, get on it. So the second fact then for Abu Dhabi is that the pole sitter has won the race 3 times out of the 4 that we have on record. So despite being a fairly easy to overtake track, it actually is a lot better to be starting on pole than it has been at other tracks that you perhaps wouldn't expect. That's interesting. I actually expected it to be a lot. I mean, that might just be coincidence in all honesty, but I'd expect less people to have won from pole at this track.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they didn't have a field like ours.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. Where like 9 people can win, but yeah.
But the thing is, though, I think is obviously because it's such a technical track, especially the last sector, the guys who are fast there usually tend to just get away, and especially with the last sector being after the DRS zones, it's just you can build a gap.
Yeah.
So maybe they can get the gaps bigger and bigger and bigger where they are the strongest, because I don't know, maybe they're a more technical driver, so they get that part better. But I don't think that will happen this season anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's fair.
But going to fact number 3, unfortunately, there was always at least one British driver on the podium once again. But last season was the first time one actually won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But unfortunately, that time there was another 3 British drivers behind him.
So for the first time we see a British winner, we just have like a whole top 4 of Britons. Like just 3 decide actually we're going to finish behind him. It's yeah, obviously, as we've said so many times, it's a slightly British dominated like league, because it's, you know, it's a British league, I guess. But I mean technically it's Norwegian. Anyway, it's not Norwegian. It's technically British dominated. So we tend to see a lot of Britons on the grid. It's the same this year. So the fact that we've always had a Briton on the podium is not overly surprising, I guess. The first, only having one British driver win, which would have been Iceman, is a bit surprising though, because usually that happens a lot more.
Yeah.
And then getting a whole top 4 just to top it all off, that's brilliant.
Disgraceful.
But anyway, I mean, I suppose moving on from that fact is number 4. The biggest British attendance for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix was in Season 6 with a total of, get ready, all of you, I don't know if you're ready, get ready now, 11 British drivers signing up for it. 11 out of, I'm guessing there was a full grid of 16 for that day, but 11 British drivers in one race. You could literally have like every Briton scoring a point and then one guy getting left over. That's insane.
How depressing is that?
For every other nation, just like, oh, there's 11 Brits. Oh, okay. No chance of getting involved in that monopoly. Just complete domination.
It's time to retire. Yeah, you have too many Brits.
Too many Brits.
On the grid, time to retire. Retire the car. We need to save the engine.
We've got no chance. Just give up now. Save the engine for the next race. Come back when there's less Brits.
Anyway, going to the next fact, Toro Rosso leads the way with 2 wins at the Yas Marina, followed by Force India, Sauber, Caterham and Lotus with one win each. So Force India, I think it's one of the first times they appear on our facts, and Caterham as well.
We never get Force India. I mean Caterham as well. We obviously have Caterham this season, so we're a bit more used to seeing them. But Force India, we don't have this season, apart from for the 2 commentators to retire at the start of the race. But yeah, that's probably the first time we've actually ever had Force India in the facts. Certainly not the first time we've had Toro Rosso in the facts. They seem to lead the way when it comes to a lot of wins in the past. It makes it even more of a shame that we don't have them anymore.
Yeah, true.
We have a prestigious AOR PS3 history.
But maybe, I mean, Caterham won in Britain, and now they have a win already in Abu Dhabi in Season 9, so...
You never know. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's a sign for Vettel or, of course, Jamie to start going on for a title charge.
Yeah.
Maybe. potentially, probably not, sort of. Anyway, moving on to the next fact then. Number 6, Williams is yet to achieve a podium at Abu Dhabi, unlike Red Bull and Ferrari, who have a second place each, with their best race being 4th in Season 6, with Falcon at the wheel. So I would be pretty surprised if that record continues after this race. But Shane and Callum will be both looking to break that record. And obviously the 2 Red Bulls and the 2 Ferraris will be hoping that they can keep their record going by filling up the podium themselves. Yeah, so I'd be surprised.
It's interesting though, because it's like usually Ferrari has terrible results. Now it's Williams.
Yeah,
I'm liking this.
Yeah, it's a sign. It's an omen that Red Bull and Ferrari are going to dominate in Abu Dhabi. But I think is this their first season where Williams have had 2 strong drivers? I guess maybe, I don't know.
I think Williams never won a champion. No, he won Season 9. But I think it's the first time they have a strong lineup on both ends.
Yeah, I suppose that explains their lack of podiums and wins sometimes in the facts in previous times.
Yeah. But we never know. I mean, Silverstone, we almost didn't have a Williams on the podium.
Yeah, if Professional had held on in front of Callum, then we wouldn't have had one. So all it takes is another strategic mess or some action-packed crashes or whatever, and that could continue. Especially with the fact that the people behind them and waiting in the wings are so have good ability as well. The likes of Dan, Pepper, Maz, the Prost, Hammer Time. There's so many people that can capitalise on Williams' mistakes.
Yeah. But anyway, going to the next fact, and this one is to lift up the mood a bit on the Mercedes side of things. Every time Mercedes raced at Abu Dhabi, at least one of their cars got 5th or better.
Well, I'll be hoping for that to continue after, bounce back after. Oh man, both of them taking each other out in Britain. Jesus, yeah, they'll be hoping that continues. 5th or better. That's a pretty good record. I don't think there's many teams that probably have that record around here.
No, I don't think so. I think Mercedes is, well, like this is. I think it's the best team. Because Williams actually, besides 4th place, with Falcon, I think they were very far behind on the other seasons.
Yeah.
So I think Mercedes is definitely the best team in terms of consistently good results.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's weird how things change, I guess, because it's not arguable. Williams have a better lineup really than Mercedes this year in terms of results. So it's funny how things change around. But fact number 8, then moving on from that one, the slowest fastest lap at this track curiously was set in Season 6, being the only season where no one could get into the 140s. So everyone's setting 141s, I'm guessing, or 142s. But yeah, I don't know. Was that what game that would have been on F1 2013, wouldn't it? So
no, Season 6 was 2012.
2012.
Yep.
That's weird. That's strange. There must have been something about the Abu Dhabi track on that game that made it just naturally slower.
No, because then again, Season 5 was on 2012 as well, but they did a 140.
That's weird then. That's really strange. That's a good fact then in that case, because there's just no explanation for it whatsoever.
And the Turbo guys on Season 9 with 2014 also did a 140.
That's strange. Because there's no way they should be able to do that in comparison to 2013 and 2012. If 2012 aren't getting into the 140s, 2014 definitely shouldn't be. So, strange. Really weird.
But anyway, going to the 9th fact, and this is a rather interesting one. Of course, Force India, McLaren, Marussia and Toro Rosso, which are the teams they're not racing on Season 11, have all combined 8 podiums, right? 8.
Okay,
Teams,
that's good for 4 teams.
All the teams running this year combined, which are Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams, Red Bull, Caterham, Lotus and Sauber, have 10.
Huh. So, I mean, there's obviously a lot more teams there in the in the second part of that fact. So it's I mean, they obviously have more by 2. They've got 10, and obviously the teams that aren't racing have 8. But it should be a larger gap given they've got 2 more teams involved in that. So
I mean,
it's weird. Yeah, it's weird that the old teams, because we do see McLaren and Toro Rosso quite a lot in the fact. So it's weird that the teams that were so good back in the day aren't around anymore.
did we pick the wrong teams?
Maybe we need McLaren and Toro Rosso back. Maybe Marussia and Force India as well.
Yeah, maybe we do.
I like that. I like that stat. That's a good one. And anyway, the final fact then of this fact section is the champion/championship leader has won at the Abu Dhabi GP 3 times, while the other results achieved were a DNF and 2 fourth places. So it's either you win or you don't finish on the podium, basically, around here, which obviously might not continue, but so far that's how it is. And obviously that DNF will have been very costly for whoever was leading the championship at the time, unless they were a champion already, but not the way you really want to end the season or come towards the end of a season. But yeah, I like that one as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they didn't finish on the podium. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why.
It's all for the championship.
It's all for the neutral. We're thinking about you guys. We're thinking about the neutrals here.
Yeah, we're talking about we're trying to improve the stability of the championship. We need an even championship, not like
Everyone.
Williams 200 points ahead of second.
Yeah, everyone needs to be involved.
Yeah, and that's our facts and Abu Dhabi preview already done. Obviously, don't forget to leave us your predictions, which probably will just smash mines and Niren's.
They will be better. Let's be honest.
It's not really hard. Apparently,
it just is not. That's the problem.
We really need to step up our game, I guess.
Hopefully, it starts this time.
But yeah, before we end, personally, I would like to apologize because, of course, last week we announced the start of the press conference, but sadly there were some technical issues on Niren's side, and then I tried to do it, and there was more problems with the drivers and stuff. So sadly, we didn't have a press conference from Britain. But I do believe, and I'm pretty certain that this week, however, there will be a press conference led by Niren.
Yes, indeed.
Of course, the drivers, unless you already picked them.
I have not yet.
Yeah, but I'm sure either me or him will announce in the middle of the week who is going to be there, and of course, you'll be there to see, and you can ask the questions there during the live stream. And obviously a last alert, obviously after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix we have yet another break week due to the poor bastards that are having exams at this period.
Me!
And even me, so
Yeah.
For our sake, we're putting the break week very close to the previous one, but it's predicted to be the last break week. So after this one, it's just full throttle till the end of the season. But yeah, as it happened last time, this will be the last talk show before 2 weeks' time, where we'll be back to review the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and preview the end, pretty much, of the first half of the season at Suzuka. But that's pretty much it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. If I would, I wouldn't be surprised anyway.
I think we've got everything.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you a lot, as Nero said at the start, and I'm saying at the end, thank you a lot for continuing to support this idea and this talk show. Obviously, it means a lot to us, and I mean, we have so much fun doing it as well. So
Yeah.
it's a pleasure that you enjoy it as much as we do. So if you have any suggestions as well, I mean, just make sure you leave them on the comments below. But I'll let Niren wrap up this 8th talk show. We're nearly to 10.
Eight, man, we're gonna be in double figures soon. But yeah, I suppose that is it then for the 8th instalment of the AOR Talk Show. I hope you did enjoy. Feel free to hit a like on the like button, preferably. If you did enjoy the video, comment if you enjoyed it that much. Leave your predictions for the Abu Dhabi race, and also if you've got any questions that you want me to ask the drivers, specific drivers, for the press conference, then drop that in the comments section or tell us on the stream when it happens. Hopefully, if you're new to Pepper's channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I guess that's it. We'll talk to you later.